Hey guys, Prowl1701 here, and today I'm going to be doing a Patreon review. One of my patrons wanted me to watch Starship Troopers 2. Direct to DVD, has none of the actors from the original Starship Troopers 2. I've never seen it because my gut instinct said, ooh, that one's probably going to be bad. It's not really that good, I'll be honest. It is pretty bad, direct to DVD or VHS fare. I think it came out around 2002. Of course, it's supposed to be a sequel. The Starship Troopers movie. It does some things good. First off, the special effects for its low budget. I think it had a budget of like $7 million. The special effects actually aren't bad. The bugs look pretty good. Some of the other special effects in it with the laser blast. I feel like they used their money really smartly with the special effects. And then they do one really clever thing that I have to give props to. They film this at night or in the dark. I don't know if this planet has a day. But they keep everything kind of in the dark when they're outside. It's either nighttime on this planet or it's always night on this planet. And that's really good because you can kind of hide bad special effects at night. And there's even scenes in the little base they stay in where a lot of times they're in the dark, or it's not. It's never overly lit. They use darkness and shadows very well in this to hide the fact they don't have the best budget. And it's very effective. It also helps create a little bit of atmosphere at times. So that I feel like they used their low budget well. I mean, obviously the special effects aren't great. But I mean, the special effects in Classic Who a lot of times aren't great, and I still love Classic Who. Because sometimes you work with your budget and you can really pull something off. You know, in Doctor Who terms, sometimes you get the Web Planet. Sometimes you get that opening shot from Trial of a Time Lord. Or you get just Pyramids of Mars. You get these really good effects. You use your money well. You use your budget well. And I feel like they used their budget well here on the special effects. The incidental music I thought was good. I enjoyed the score of the movie well. The cast are okay. I mean, they're not exactly going to win any Oscars. I actually pretty sure I recognize kind of the main character, the kind of Riddick-like character, the guy who's they find locked up that is accused of being a murderer. It makes me think of Riddick from the Riddick movies. I think I recognize that actor. He looks like the guy who played one of the bad guys in the first season of the show Viper. And I love Viper. It's a TV show about a Dodge Viper that's kind of a supercar that ran for 4 seasons. And this looks like the same actor who played the villain, one of the villains, in most of season 1. Which I like him. He's good in this role. It's a bit tropey, a bit over the top. Kind of like it wants to be Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando, or it wants to be Riddick. Put those two together, there you go. But, you know, the guy knows the job. He's doing a good job with it. I liked him in it. The rest of the cast are fine. The girl playing the drill sergeant, kind of the sergeant female, who kind of reminds me of Diz in the first one. At first I thought it might be the same actress. I don't think it is, but I kind of thought it was for a bit. She's good in this. She has some really cool moments. One kick-ass moment at the end where she's really smart. The kind of psychic girl is fine in this. There's also a psychic guy. Yeah, they bring psychic stuff into it, which kind of had me going, okay. The kind of psychic guy in it, he comes off as a tool for a lot of it. But at the end, he kind of redeems himself a bit. He actually does. He actually has a nice little arc right at the end, which I liked. The rest of the cast seem to know the job. They know they're not going to be winning any Oscars, but they're fine. I don't think any of the cast is just bad. They fit the bill. The guy playing the general in it is good. I liked him. There's a blonde-headed girl in it. She does a really good job with the plot, too, which I'll get to in a minute. So I think the cast is fine. Nothing really stand out, but nobody bad either. So they know the job. Now, one thing I will give Starship Troopers 2 is that it doesn't just try to rehash the first one. It definitely goes its own direction. We're talking Highlander 2 to Highlander 1 goes another direction. To be fair, I like Highlander 2. But it definitely goes a very different direction. This one does too. This one works more with, and it doesn't really try to hide this. It kind of gives you little hints at this. Basically, a new bug that's a parasite that takes people over, kind of Invasion of the Body Snatchers style. More like The Hidden, actually. If you've ever seen The Hidden or The Hidden 2, don't watch The Hidden 2. But watch The Hidden. It has Kyle MacLachlan in it, which is one of the reasons you should watch The Hidden. Or there's an episode of Sliders kind of like that, too, where the parasite that gets in Maggie that can transfer from person to person and breed that way. It's kind of like that here, where you find out a couple of them are infected with this bug and they breed into other people through kissing, of course. There's a little gratuitous nudity in this from this one blonde girl who's infected. Granted, she looks very attractive. Very nice body. But I got to give the actress credit because you know there's something off with her pretty early. She's unconscious when they first find her. We'll touch more on that in a minute. But even when she first wakes up, you get there's something off with her. Kind of the way she looks around, the way her and another couple other characters, the way they pop their necks, like they're not used to their bodies. You get there's something off with them. All the way up until, and the blonde-haired girl, she tries to seduce a couple people, just like way too much. So immediately I'm thinking, okay, parasite that spreads through making out or sex. Got it. And sure enough, that's what happens. You get the first guy she finally gets to make out with, and she starts kissing him, and he starts struggling. I'm like, okay, I know the assignment here. And so slowly, the troopers, of course, are getting more and more infected. It's a little gruesome in a couple places. Not overly so, but a little overly what I need. Like one guy's literally falling apart. I didn't quite need that. Although it is clever that it makes it look like when an alien's possessing a body, the body can only stay functioning for so long. Like you see people's fingertips starting to turn black. Like it's only a temporary measure because the body's basically dying. Pretty much the person is dead and the alien's just controlling the body like a puppet at that point. It is interesting that when people first get infected, there's a little incubation period where they're unconscious, like they're asleep, and they get a bit of a nosebleed, which people don't catch on to at first. But slowly more people are getting infected. Now, the last little bit, I do like the fact that the last girl, the sergeant, when she gets infected, she realizes what's going on, and she takes a bunch of basically adrenaline shots. I don't know what they are, but they're like adrenaline shots. And she injects herself with them so she doesn't fall asleep for the incubation period. And then she starts fighting. She manages to incapacitate one of the infected bugs. They're bugs at that point. She kills another one, and she manages to free the Riddick guy, who at this point had been locked up because they wanted to get him out of the way. So she managed to kill the bug that was in the room with him. He'd been managing to fight it all. And get him free before she offs herself because she is infected. And then it's basically him and the psychic girl left at that point. And it kind of turns into Arnold Schwarzenegger on the island in Commando with them just taking people out. It's again, it's a little silly, a little tropey. I'd like the fact that the infected troopers can take a ton of damage because basically the body's dead at that point and the bugs don't feel it. So the bodies can take a lot of damage. That's pretty neat. That's pretty interesting. And then the ending where Riddick guy, Dax, I think his name is like Dax, when he stays behind to kind of hold off the bugs while she escapes. It's a little tropey, but it's pretty neat. And then the fact they use his last sacrifice as a promotional video at the end, kind of like the promotional videos in the first one. A guy who didn't think much of the Federation or the military at that point, and they're using him for marketing, is kind of interesting. I do like the very beginning of the movie, how it starts out with one of those kind of promotional, hey, join and serve, be part of the Federation, serving gains citizenship, and this happy, proud, like the Army or the Marines, those ads they do to get you swelled up with national pride. And the last sign it shows is the flag waving. And then it cuts to seeing the flag in the actual battlefield, which is dark. The promo ad is nice and bright and sunny and, hey, join the military. And then it cuts to where you actually see the flag in the battle, and it's nighttime. And it's a stark difference because you hear the guy over there, retreat, retreat, sound the retreat, because they're getting overrun by bugs. That's a nice transition into the actual story. I liked that. And how it goes from bright and sunny to dark and oh crap bugs everywhere. That's clever. Now, I've talked positive about this movie a bit, honestly, more so than I thought. Is this a good movie? No, no. Despite everything I said, I prefer the first one. Part of it's just me. I'm kind of tired of body possession stuff like that with bugs taking... I don't like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Any of them. Even the 78 one. I don't hate it. It's got a good cast in it. But I just don't get into those kind of movies. Like, if I'd seen this movie back when it first came out, if I had seen, did I say that right? When it first came out, I might have appreciated it a little more. But I don't really like it. The first one's better. I like the tone of the first. And I'm not someone who's a huge fan of the first one. I know my family, we had it on VHS when I was growing up. But, like, I don't own it on DVD. I haven't even watched the first one in 20 years, other than maybe the odd bit here and there if it was on. Like, I think one of my roommates was watching it one time some years ago, and I think I sat down and watched part of it with them. Or sometimes, like, if it's on and I'm having a conversation with somebody, I'll catch a little bit of it. But I haven't watched it. I've seen the first one all the way through probably like 3 times, and then caught bits and pieces of it here and there. I don't think it's a very good movie either. I like the cast in it. Denise Richards is always fun to see. Casper Van Dien is fine. I always enjoy watching Michael Ironside. He's fantastic. It's an okay movie. This one is not as good in the first one, and I like the direction of the first one better. I kind of wondered what they were going to do with this one, and once I caught on body horror, which, again, the movie doesn't really try to hide. It hints at it. I mean, I was able to pick up on that's what it's going to do before it pretty much gave it away. And I like the fact it doesn't just try to do the first one on a lower budget. It does its own thing. Does it work? No. Just like there's people out there that don't like Highlander 2, like Highlander. Personally, I love both. My 2 favorite Highlander movies, my 2 favorite Highlander things. But this isn't a movie I think I ever have to watch again. Do you ever want to watch that? No. I don't feel like I'd ever want to watch this movie again. I don't find it very interesting. It didn't really do much for me. The things I like about it are more... I think they did a good job, like production-wise. It's kind of like The Web Planet. I don't really like The Web Planet, but I respect the ambition behind The Web Planet and what they tried to do with the budget they had. It's just not always effective. It's a lot like that here. I think they used the money they had well, shooting it in the dark. I think these special effects look pretty good for that direct-to-DVD budget. The cast is fine. I like seeing the guy from Viper, kind of the main character. I like seeing him. I think he's good. And then I really like that transition at the beginning of the movie from the ad to what's actually going on. It does some clever things. It uses its money well. From a production standpoint, thumbs up. From an actual enjoyment standpoint, I don't think I'd ever watch this again. Do I recommend watching it for enjoyment? No. If you liked the first one and you want to see something different, maybe, or if just the fact you want to see, well, okay, let's see what they did with the money and maybe appreciate the production design, sure. Enjoyment, no. Did not care for it. When I was watching it, it was more, bug possession, body possession stuff. All right, let's wait it out. And the fact, again, I was noting the things I like. They were clever doing this. They were clever doing this. The incidental music sounds good. The special effects for the guns sound good. The sound effects for the guns sound good. I expected this movie to look a lot worse with its budget, knowing it was a direct-to-DVD, knowing none of the original cast came back, knowing no one ever talks good about it. I expected this movie to look a lot worse, and honestly be a lot worse. I don't think this is a good movie, but I don't think it's the worst movie I've ever watched. I don't regret watching it. I can say that. And I didn't have to stop watching it. Like, I took a couple little breaks, like to get something to drink or use the restroom, but I didn't have to, like, really space it out. Like, okay, I'm half an hour in, I gotta take a break because I can't take... I was never like that. I was engaged enough to get through it in practically one sitting. And it's like an hour and 30 minutes, an hour and 35 minutes, an hour and 31 minutes, something like that. So it's not overly long, but I was engaged with it enough, despite not really liking the story itself, that I got through it pretty quickly. I mean, to get through an hour and 30 minutes, probably took me less than 2 hours and 30 minutes. So not a lot of break time in between. So I was surprised and impressed that I enjoyed it as much as I did, and that the production looked as good as it did, because I expected both to be a lot worse, despite still not being very enjoyable from a story standpoint, if that makes sense. So Starship Troopers 2, not a good movie. I don't really know what I would give it if I was ranking it on a scale of 1 to 10. I don't really do that. Not a good movie, not a good story, but the cast is fine. They know the job. They're not bad. They're not winning Oscars, but they're not bad. Very tropey. Very tropey. Getting a little hammy almost at times. But impressive production values for the budget. And as someone who loves classic Doctor Who, I can respect that. So, have you seen Starship Troopers 2 or Starship Troopers 1? What do you think of these movies? Comment down below and let's talk about it. Again, this was a Patreon request. Finn Perkins actually asked if I would do this, and Finn and I know each other. He's a great guy. He asked if I would review this, mainly just because I think he wanted me to do a review on it. I think he just found the idea of it hilarious. If there is something you would like me to review, again, some of my patrons at different tiers do get Patreon requests per month. So check out my Patreon. There's a link to that down in the description below. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Finn Perkins, Colin Coney, and Sam Venning. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. It's very much appreciated. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. I love getting fan mail. A link to my Amazon wish list is down there. A link to my Amazon UK wish list is down there. Got a few of these standard edition sets on there. I'd love to get some more of these. Simon has been really good about sending some of these. Colin has sent one as well. I appreciate both of them sending those. And most importantly, thank you for watching.